Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another live pre-game stream from at the Miami Heat UK. I am joined today once again by my stream team. We are in full strength today. Danny, John and Sam join me. Danny, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Excited for the next couple of days.
It's going to be mad. Yes, it's going to be mad. We'll get into it soon enough. Don't you worry. John, how are you, mate?
Great and nervous for the trades as well.
Yes, absolutely. Sam, you good?
I'm good. I'll put it that way. I'm good. We'll see how it goes.
Oh well, it's going to be, as you said there, Danny. It's going to be a crazy couple of days. I said I was just sitting back thinking about it, this afternoon. I'm thinking it is crazy that literally we are 2 days away now, 48 hours away, and only Jimmy and Bam are the only people that you would say are guaranteed to be back here in 48 hours' time. So who knows what is going to happen? Plenty, I'm sure. We are going to be one of the most active teams. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But before we come on to that, we will cover this, of course, in detail. But as always, we're here to cover the Phoenix Suns game tonight. But first of all, we must reflect on the last 2 games because it's been 2 games since we've been back. Sorry for those that have missed our show during that time. We had a little bit of family and work issues. So in between that time, we have lost twice to the Indiana Pacers. So we've been sort of this up and down season, continues to roller coaster. 2 disappointing defeats against Indiana. No doubt about that, especially being at home. Sam, I'm going to start with you. You would like to think that at a worst case scenario, we would have split this series. I think we were saying really that with the momentum the Heat were on, despite the fact that we lost against Memphis on what seemed like a scheduled loss anyway, with a travelling second night of a back-to-back, there was no real sort of harm in that one. But you didn't see an 0-2 coming against Indiana, did we?
Nah, not at all. I mean, even watching the games, like, there are specific instances where you thought we'd had the game. Well, in the first game up until the third quarter where we absolutely lost it. And in the second game was just back and forth. And yeah, I think this team, they play hard, but we've got to change something at this point. Could be changing the sort of plays we run, but because definitely something isn't working right now. If we just think about the first game, it was just down to the 3-point shooting. I think we shot sub 25% or something along those lines, whereas we let Indiana shoot 55% on more shot attempts. So that was just a recipe for a disaster to start with. But yeah, I think so we need to do something about 3-point shooting, or we just need to switch up the plays. It's just something needs to change.
Yeah, I think that it's obviously been a growing concern for a while. When we lost in the first game, blown out, I sort of wasn't really too fussed. There's going to be games that you're going to get that they was. I mean, don't get me wrong, they was fantastic. TJ McConnell was an absolute pest. He was superb. The shooting, I didn't see them ever replicating that in the second game, so I wasn't concerned about that. But it was 2 nights again, Danny, with the same thing, isn't it? That the 3-point shooting, the regression. It's so concerning because I don't know how you improve that. If it's defensive errors, if it's just not making plays work, if it's turnovers, you can sort of get on the court and work that out. But how do we stop this slump? Is there a stop to this slump in terms of 3-point shooting? Because we've gone from a top 5 team to a bottom 5 team in the space of 6 months. This isn't good.
No, it's not good, and I can't point to one particular thing that would help that 3-point situation. I just I wonder if, just hypothetically, hopefully we would keep at least one of Tyler or Duncan after the trade deadline. So you would hope that once the trade rumors have died down, the trade season is over, they might, they might sort of the regression to the mean, they might get back to that, because I think that's significantly impacted both of their performances. I think, to be honest, they're all included in trade deals, and you're not going to get a better, I'm sorry, but you're not going to get a better shooter than Duncan Robinson. You're just not at the trade deadline. You're not going to fix the 3-point shooting by getting another player that's going to shoot as good as Duncan can shoot. So, I don't really know, to be honest. I think that's probably the only example that I can give where you think that might fix it.
And that is a good point. And I think it was Christian from Miami Heatbeat said something along those lines that both Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, John, he was saying that they seem to be playing like they're worried about packing. Are they going to be here? That's sort of there's some legs to that, isn't there? I mean, if you're constantly in trade scenarios, it's going to have an impact on your game. Maybe you think about every shot a little bit more than you would normally do.
Yeah, didn't Hero start off slow as well when he was in the Harden talks?
Yeah.
And especially when you're that young, any trade talk will get into your head. We've seen that with the Lakers before they got AD. Knowing that you might going to be playing for a different team the next day just gives your confidence. Because you can see like either Hero and Duncan pump faking as well, not just shooting. They just don't know if they need to shoot or not.
Yeah, it's as I said, it does concern me. I would like to think it's maybe as simple as that it's just there's a lot on their mind. There's a lot of uncertainty. They don't know where they're going to be playing their basketball this time last week. So anyway, look, I don't want to cover too much of the Pacers because it wasn't very enjoyable. What is much more enjoyable for a Heat fan and excitable is obviously we are very much involved in plenty of trade scenarios, and I am very happy that we are being linked with one of my favourite players, which is Kyle Lowry. Now, I've said to many times in the past that if you could give me a realistic trade target, not talking about, that would fit this team perfectly. I'm not saying anybody outrageous, like, there's no point me saying LeBron or Kawhi. A realistic trade target that would fit this team perfectly. My vote has always been Kyle Lowry. Sam, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Is there many better fits here in terms of literally, in terms of facilitating, ball handling, leading, scoring? This is a guy, okay, who's aging, but he's still playing pretty good basketball, isn't he?
Yes. In terms of all the qualities you've listed, we definitely need them, excluding one. I'd say we don't need leadership because we've got quite a lot of that on the current team. And based on that, I have to say Lonzo Ball is a better fit. Because what we need is lights off, someone who could switch on the offense, who could facilitate, could get to the basket or dish out when necessary. And he's shooting well this season, but that's just a side comment. Kyle Lowry is a good sort of offensive player that we can get. I mean, his stats show that what he's capable of. He's shooting at a high percentage in from 3-point range, and that's good because it'll only create more space for the 3-point shooters we've got as well. I'd love to have Kyle Lowry on the team. It just goes to the same conversations we keep having with regards to what we've got to give off, I guess. But yeah, I think at this point, it is something that just needs to get done. Like if there's a possibility of getting Kyle Lowry on the team, it just needs to be done right now.
Yeah, totally agree. The rumours are, Danny, it's if it was going to be just Kyle only, then it's likely to start with Precious Achiuwa, Duncan Robinson, salary fillers, which is obviously going to be one of, you would think, Iguodala or Kelly Olynyk. There's also talk of a deal that would also involve Norman Powell, which would then mean that Tyler Hero would be included as well. If you had to choose one of those two packages, what one you think?
The first one.
Okay.
I don't want to give up Tyler. I think he's got so much potential. He's a second-year player, and he's going to get that confidence back. I like, I do like the Lowry fit. He's that bulldog on defense and offense. He gets to the rim. He's a good shooter. He's got that sort of wide body. He's a good defender. I'm more in the Depot camp.
Okay.
I'm also on the Lonzo train too. And the reason being is just age. I feel like, we want to max. I know the point is you want to maximize Jimmy's potential now, capitalize on his season he's having now and his age. But you've also got to think about Bam and his age. And obviously, if you get someone like Lowry, who's how old is he? Like 36? 35.
Yep.
If you get someone like Lowry, you're only getting him for a couple of seasons at its best. Whereas if you get Oladipo, get his bird rights and sign him, he's going to be a long-term piece. I think he's really good. And he's going to grow with Bam.
To that,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to add to that. Getting Kyle Lowry at this age would only mean, for you to get him at this age, you probably need to give him some sort of guarantee that you'll sign him to a attractive contract when his contract is off. So can we really afford that as well? Can we have
And do you want to, like, do you want to sign a long-term contract on a guy who's 35? Because I don't know if I do. But then, if you're trying to capitalize on this season, go all in on, you think this is the season, I guess he's the safe option because he's proven, he's a veteran, whereas Depot is injured, he's up and down. But I think long-term, the Depot trade is my preferred trade, to be honest.
I think that's very fair, and it is something that is a really difficult one because you're right. You're probably saying it's 2 years of Carl or potentially 4 years of Depot, and I just think John Carl Lowry, yes, he is 35. He's only just turned 35. In fact, he might even be that he's 35 this week. I think I read.
I think he turns on Thursday.
Yes. Okay. So there you go.
So he turns 35 at the end of the trade deadline.
Yeah, that's it. But I look at it as though across the board, his stats are up on his career. So he's still very much a productive player. I think if it comes to it, it is a really difficult one to have to decide on if it was going to be one or the other. But with Depot, and look, I've said just very recently about how I would go and get Oladipo now, but Kyle Lowry wasn't in the conversation then, and he is now. For me, I would look at it as though in Jimmy's timeline, I would give him the best possible player, and for me, that's Kyle Lowry. What do you think, John?
Definitely, because with Jimmy, he's already friends with Kyle Lowry, and Lowry already has championship experience. He's a vet. I don't even understand why, like in the short term, why his age really matters because he hasn't shown any regression.
Yeah, great point.
And he's also looking at his stats now. He has shown that he's injury prone either. And part of their contract extensions, we gave Iggy a team option for like 15 mil, and no one really said that's a bad deal when we're not using for a trade piece. We could probably do the same thing with Lowry as well. Give him a team option and use him as a trade piece in 2 years' time. So I think you just have to go all in on Jimmy's timeline first.
Yeah. Can I just add that the only thing that I bring up with the age is the fact that obviously Dragic is the similar sort of age as Lowry, and we can see the regression already. Now I know they're different people, different players. It all happens, at different stages. But we wanted to expect to get Bobble Dragic back this season, and we haven't. And you can just turn that quickly. So that's just something that's why I'm concerned about the age.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I think you would have to really sit down and think about the timeline between two very good players. They're both, in my opinion, Oladipo and Lowry, they're still top 30 players, in my opinion, right now. So you'd have to ask yourself, do you take, if you do have to look at the age, even though the stats maybe suggest that you shouldn't look at the age. It is a legit argument. So I do think that it is a tough one to take the extra years on maybe the slightly lesser player right now. But for me, I just think that that relationship with Jimmy, I think that there is those health concerns with Oladipo as well. I would give ourselves the best chance of doing it now, and that would include Kyle Lowry. Now, if that was to happen, Sam, it means that obviously to make the money up, you're looking at either losing Iguodala or Kelly Olynyk. That's a tough one as well, and I think that would split a lot of people. What's your thoughts? If you had to give up one, if you had to keep one, who are you keeping?
Ooh. Unfortunately, I'd have to say Kelly Olynyk because we do need the height regardless. We've got Trevor Ariza, so it could be some sort of indication as to what might happen.
Yeah.
But Ariza is a bit more similar in terms to skill sets compared to Iguodala. So I'll be more comfortable getting rid of Kelly Olynyk. I'll be more comfortable keeping Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy about it. But
sorry. Yeah. I misread that. Yeah, sorry. I'm not paying attention.
What's your fault, Danny? Do you keep Kelly or do you keep Iggy? You keep Kelly?
Yeah. Same thing as Sam. We got Trevor Ariza, and that seems to be the replacement for Iggy, which is sad because I like Iggy and I think he does some really good stuff on the court. But just the efficiency that Kelly plays with Bam, the stats show it. Maybe not the eye test so much sometimes, but it'd be a devastating loss if we couldn't replace him. Now, it's not to say that if we can replace him, with a Bielitsa or someone like that, then we might have a different discussion. Because in that case, I might want to keep Iggy because of that sort of leadership and those intangibles on defense that he brings. Yeah. So it's a juggling act right now, so And also, just want to say hands up if we get Lowry, I'll love it. So don't scold me for that. Like I'll be happy. So,
John, I've gone round the table, so let's finish with you as well. Same question.
So I think I'm the only one that would keep Iggy.
There you go.
Mainly because I'm more thinking about the playoffs. Because during the regular season, Kelly is the better option because of age, and just
Good
same as
point.
like Myers last year. He started all of the regular season and didn't even get any minutes playoff time. So I think in come playoff time, Iggy would be more valuable than Kelly. He closed games for us, and I think he would continue to do that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got one scenario for you. Think to the finals where AD was just killing us. Literally. We could be easily exploited currently we can easily be exploited. And without someone, well, to be fair, in the finals, we didn't really have much of Bam at that point. But yeah, our height leaves us really vulnerable, and teams will exploit that any given chance.
Yeah, it is really, really tough. And Ben made a good point there again, saying that you choose Iggy over KO because he's someone that Spo always trusts, especially in the playoffs. So echoing what you just said there, John.
And the finals MVP as well.
Yeah, I find this really tough because on one hand, you do need that height. We do lack height severely, albeit he's not having a good shooting year. He is someone who can still stretch the floor. This is Kelly. You'd like to think that maybe some of that shooting comes back to him a little bit, especially if we're going to be trading someone like Duncan. So we're going to be struggling for shooting here, and Kelly does give you that, even though he's down obviously on his stats this year. You'd like to think that because we've got Ariza, I would probably just about edge this over to Kelly, but I think that you make a good point there, John, which was echoed by Ben in the chat there. That I think that come playoff time, you may really struggle.
Just look at the comments, sorry.
Sorry. Let's put in some comments. This is Stephen. If you're going to ship Kyle, you need that replacement. Yep, and Ben again here. Losing Kyle will be a lot easier once Aldridge is bought out. This is very true as well. Let's come on to some buyouts. Now, Aldridge has been one that we've been very much linked with the favourites, but also, like I just said there, if we're going to lose some shooting, JJ Redick, anybody? Danny?
I'm all for it.
If you lose Duncan in a trade, you pick up JJ Redick.
That'd be incredible. John, you're all for it, yeah?
Yeah.
Is he healthy?
I don't know about his health. Does anyone know about how healthy he is? I know he's missed a few games recently. I think he's due back. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be something that if I mean, to be honest, hand on heart here, I'm going to be very surprised if we see Duncan Robinson play again for Miami after tonight's game. I think he'll be out the door after tonight. So if that's the case, you'd like to think that somebody like JJ would be knocking on the door there. And LaMarcus Aldridge, then we've all said it. We spoke about it many times. We didn't want to trade for him, and why would you? But Danny, just going back to you quickly on buyout, again, seems like maybe a bit of a no-brainer here, doesn't it?
Yeah, bit of height. Got that sort of, intangibles in defense, not in defense, on offense. Those sort of fadeaway post up jumpers. Gives us an element that we don't really have, which is size. So it'd be a nice pickup. It sounds like that he's interested in coming here too. So if he's bought out, I could definitely see that happening. But I also want to just pull up the second comment from Stephen, which is you can't leave things to chance, especially when players are using Miami as a bargaining chip. I think that one thing that we were talking about before we went live was, I hope we don't miss out on opportunities at this trade deadline, because we don't know what's happening with Kyle yet. So, if we're waiting on this big decision from Kyle and he chooses to stay, you might miss out on a trade for Vic. He might be going somewhere else, and Houston's, they get an interest from everyone. So it's a scary time too. You don't want to miss out.
It is. That is a really good point, and we've done this before. Although the criticism with Jay Crowder was the same thing, that you held out to try and give yourself flexibility. Then you lost your targets, and then obviously you couldn't give the people that wanted to be here maybe the deal that we could have done. Not that I'm blaming the Heat for that, because you totally understand to do it, but that is a legit argument. We'll see what happens. I'd like to think that that Kyle was maybe given some indication, because if he has, then I see it getting done. If it doesn't, then you're right. There's a risk here that we could walk away with a disappointing deadline here if we don't get anybody through the door. Very quickly, Sam, you pointed on it right at the beginning here. Lonzo Ball, that's not really someone we've been linked with, but from what I hear, he's just sort of being given away here. I mean, why is this not something that we've been pursuing? Because it seems like there's like I'm seeing like a pick and that's it type thing.
I don't know. I can't tell you why. I honestly don't know, but I would love it if we could get in on that Lonzo Ball train. I mean, the New Orleans Pelicans, they're stacked. They're fully loaded in terms of like future prospects, in terms of the sort of players they've got. So I'd understand why they'd think of Lonzo as expendable.
Yep.
But yeah, if we could get him, then why not?
Yeah. Right. Last question before we come on to the Suns game, John. Let's get a bit weird for a minute. Is there any way that we could try and get both Depot and Lowry? Or is that just no chance?
I mean,
I don't know how the money would work or how many players would have to send out or how many teams would have to be involved, but that would be nice. I would trade like
crazy,
everyone.
Ship them all the young guys. Just get rid of everyone.
In that case, anyone would go.
Yeah, take the farm. That's it. We'll just start again. Yeah. Right, we'll see. Let's leave trades for now because who knows what's going to happen. And again, a bit like last year, we've still got 2 days to go here, guys. Anything can happen. Last year, nobody knew about the Gallinari link, which is till the last moments. Okay, it didn't get done in the end, but that was very close by all accounts. So we've still got a lot of time to go. We will see what happens. Right, tonight we are playing at the Phoenix Suns, another game at home, last game of our 4-game home trip we've got here. Phoenix, let's go through the usual stats, are 28 and 13, which is good for second in the West. Heat are now 22 and 21. Fourth in the East, 13 and 5. The Suns are away. The Heat are 12 and 10 at home. That is Heat being 12 and 10 at home, by the way, is the worst home record in the top 8. Suns are 13 and Phoenix are 8 and 2 in their last 10. Heat are 6 and 4. They're on a 2-game win streak. We're on a 3-game losing streak. The bookies have this pretty close again, as usual with Miami games. They are just about favouring Phoenix on -1.5 on the spread. Tough one tonight. No Dragic, no Bradley, no Vincent, possibly game time decision. I think that is no Okpala. So already that's a bit underhand here, Sam. Suns have no injury problems at all. They're a good team, aren't they? You don't get second in the West if you're not. There's some threats here. There's some good matchups. I'm looking forward to Butler v CP3, Bam v Ayton, and Booker v Hero should be fun as well. This is going to be a tough game, isn't it? There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got the potential to be a disappointing game. I mean, they've got sharpshooters. It could be a game where Devin Booker just takes off. But I'm hoping, and I want to believe the Heat will have a bounce back game because there's no way we're going to drop 3 games at home in a very disappointing fashion.
I don't know. That's a statement. There's no way the Heat are going to drop 3 in a row. I'm going to quote you.
I've got too much faith in this team. I've got too much faith in this team.
I've got a quote. That's a bold quote. Danny, I'm not as confident as that. Are you?
No, I'm not. You know me. But yeah, it's just that, having CP3 in that team is just completely changed that team. And it's amazing what he's doing at his age. I mean, if that's anything to go by, right? His age, I guess, so I'm kind of, double standards here. So, yeah, he's been fantastic. Devin Booker's been fantastic, and the team just in general has just looked amazing. So I don't watch a ton of Phoenix basketball, not gonna lie, but what I have seen, a great offensive team. It's going to be a challenge, but I don't know. I think we're headed for a loss here. I think.
Yeah, John. Danny just said something that was a really good point there, and we all did it, me included, hands up. When the Chris Paul was moving from Houston, he obviously ended up in OKC. We was heavily linked with him, and it seemed like everybody was saying this is such a pat move to go and do this. The main reason why we didn't was because of the contract, not the player. But if anything here is, have we got to learn from this and go, okay, we're in a very similar situation now, 2 years further down the line, and here we are presented with Kyle Lowry, who's at a similar age. You know, a very similar player in the fact that he can produce so much. There's a lot of production in him. Should we not be looking at this and going, there we go? Because Chris Paul on this team when Jimmy joined would have been ridiculous because of what we saw, but we moved away from it because of the contracts, etc. But is that a warning for us? Should we now be going, we don't make the same mistake twice?
In this instance, like, because the players are really similar, you might think, yeah, that you need to pull the trigger on Lowry because they are both similar. And Lowry, I don't know about how Lowry's been throughout his career, but when Chris Paul joins a team, they usually get better. They in the playoffs. I don't know how Lowry was in his career, but he still looks like a winning player. So I think, yeah, you need to trade him to us. And then, yeah, he'd help us definitely.
Yeah, I think that, as I say, I look back at that season, and don't get me wrong, he did have a massive bounce back season in OKC. But I think that, you look at Chris Paul on this team with Jimmy Butler, that would have just been insane, absolutely insane. Sam, did Jay Crowder comes back tonight to the AAA? Again, I've sort of made my thoughts on it quite clear that I don't blame the Heat for what they did. They offered him a big money 1 year deal. 14 million. He wanted the years. A lot of people, when it comes to it, hindsight is a wonderful thing, of course. But they said that we shouldn't have held on to cap space as a chance to try and sign the super wow when we had such a perfect fit there with Jay. Where do you sit on this? Would you have gone back and done anything different if you could go back to the end of last season?
Well, the kind of Heat fan that I am, in the past, I've liked to run things back when we've had like successful teams. So like I was in favor of giving the huge contracts to the 30 and 11 teams. So I would have loved to see Jay Crowder back, but it was a business decision and understandably so. So yeah, no animosity towards that. And I'm pretty sure Jay Crowder wouldn't have any animosity as well because he was offered 14, as you said. Yeah. So yeah, it's business, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And it wasn't about the money. We offered him the money. He wanted the years, which is absolutely, that's completely within his right to do. A lot of players would have gone down the same route. They want the years over the money. And he got it. And let's get it right. He's on a good team. They're playing very well. Danny, I know you said you haven't watched a lot of Phoenix basketball, but even if you just sit there and look at the players, the record, the run they've been on in the West, are they legit?
It makes sense why they're so good. That team that they've constructed, it makes sense, So for someone who hasn't watched a lot of Phoenix, looking at the roster, you can tell why they're so successful, and they're well coached too. So, going back to the Crowder point as well, like you said, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we had eyes on a bigger prize, and unfortunately that didn't pan out. So, I would love to have Jay back on this team. I know he's not we're past this anyway. This is but. I know he's not the reason why we slumped or anything like that, but he just fits so nicely on this team.
He could help. He really could.
He could help a lot. Yeah. So, but one thing I want to ask you, Dan, before we go, because I know we're sort of getting towards the end, is what do you think is most important for this team? Do you think a 1, like a point guard, or a 4?
It's really tough because it's so glaringly obvious what we do need. I'd like now. With the arrival of Trevor, and we don't know. I'm not having massive expectations on Ariza, but I think it's just in the glimpses that we've had, considering he hasn't played any basketball this year, I'm happy with him. I think we've got options there that you'd like to think that, at the 4, Kelly's been doing very well, by the way. He's punched above his weight. He's defending much better than what a lot of people give him credit for. His shooting obviously is way down. You'd like to think that maybe bounces back a little bit, but there is options there to just get by this season. With KZ, he's now getting a few more minutes, so we're seeing that there's an option there if we need to as well. And as I say, with Ariza, and who knows what happens with Aldridge as well. So I think that at the moment, if it's down to me, the offense needs the boost, and that's why I'm saying that somebody like Oladipo or Lowry, a ball handling, facilitating point guard is. Who can just do everything. I think it's what we're screaming out for right now. So it is tough. But I would say just about we need a 1 right now, and one of the best ones that is out there is Kyle Lowry. So go and do it if we can. Right, we'll see. who knows? I mean, this could all end very easily. This could be by the time the game starts tonight, Calder decide that he's staying with Toronto, and that'll be it. But then you'd like to think that we see what happens with Depot, etc. So anyway, before we go, as always, let's go around and get predictions for tonight's game. It's going to be a tough one. John, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking?
I think for the first time, I will say a loss.
Oh, is that your first one?
First one.
Wow.
Tight one, or what are you
loss.
thinking? John, tight one?
Close loss.
Close loss. Sam, what are you thinking, mate?
I'm
Well, you actually no, you've already said.
Oh no,
already said,
I've said it.
There's no way.
I'm doubling down right
now.
I think the same team that showed up when we beat the Utah Jazz will show up again, and we'll take this game 105-103.
Okay.
Nailed
Okay. Right, Danny.
Taking the L in a blowout loss.
Oof.
Oh wow, we've got so we've got a tight loss, a tight win, and a blowout loss.
I do love this team, by the way.
Yeah, look, I think that we will see a better performance. I think it's going to be a really good game, a really close game. I think this could go down to the last possession. I'm just going to think that, again, there's a lot of players on this team that have got a lot on their mind right now, and we've seen it, that it's played into their psyche in the last two games especially. I expect it to happen again tonight, and maybe even more players. There's a lot of players in the rumours here to not be on this team anymore. And Phoenix are plugged in, looking very good. I think they're going to have a little bit too much for us, but I think it's going to be very close. But I'm going for a tight, narrow defeat tonight. So there we go. Not much positivity. Sam's flying the flag for us this game, but we'll see what happens. Look, we hope to be wrong. By the time we come round next, which is Thursday night, I think, against Portland, there'll be a lot kicking off. We will be pretty much on deadline. That's going to be a fun conversation. Until next time, guys, enjoy the game. We'll be here as always. We're doing the in-game commentary thread. Be sure while you're here to subscribe if you're not already to Miami Heat UK TV. And if not, we will see you on Thursday's game. Take it easy.